My name's Kent Rothrock. I'm with Heil Mapping. I'm just moderating the session. My job is simply to introduce folks. To start off, we've got 3 30-minute sessions here. We'll do 20 minutes presentation, 5 minutes questions and answers, and then 5 minutes for the changeover. To start off, we have a presentation called Wait, Tell Me. I'll let these guys explain what that means. Our presenters will be Vicki Magnus and Corinne Duncan.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming to our session. I'm Corinne Duncan from Buncombe County Election Services.
Hi, I'm Vicki Magnus from Buncombe County GIS and IT.
So, North Carolina elections. I know it's more like, wait, what now? But we're not here to talk about that. We're going to present how integrating GIS and some other technologies into our county level operations has increased efficiency. So I'm going to start out by giving you an overview of the various projects that we have implemented, and Vicki will delve into details of some of the applications. Oh, sorry. So what does Election Services use GIS for? Everything. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but location is really the core of any voting system because where you live determines what's on your ballot. So when you register to vote, you have to give your address and it goes through a verification process. Of course, jurisdiction assignment is another use of GIS, and that can be complicated. In Buncombe County, it looks like this. We have a lot of jurisdictions laid on top of each other, and it can get more complicated. We have impending more precincts coming to our county, probably. And there's also redistricting that happens, and Blake is actually going to give a talk on that next, right after us. So, and he's a great presenter, so stick around for that one. We also use it to audit districts, map making, of course. We also use it for planning, especially for early voting, where we're choosing locations, how many locations, where should they be. And we also use it for voter assistance projects, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. So these are the projects that we have been implementing recently. When I first started working at Election Services 3 years ago, it was just before the 2016 presidential election, and people were requesting data like crazy, especially maps. And I discovered very quickly that our data was all over the place. So my first task was to get everything in one place so that I could begin working with it. And since I was familiar with geospatial databases and map requests were coming in, that's where I started. And that was very lucky because I could very easily start building other applications on top of that once I had that data in there. So the first project that we worked on was creating a representative finder, and Vicki's going to show you that in a few minutes. And then we also updated, we had PDF maps on our website, which people used a lot, but every time a change was made, we'd have to update the static map. So we switched to web maps, and that saved a lot of time. The next thing, and what we are probably most proud of, is our weight applications. So in 2016, Vicki built our first weight map, which is for early voting. And that project was a big success. The public liked it, and it was really good in-house as well. Since then, we have added a waitlist application for Election Day, which no one had done yet, and some voter turnout products as well. I'll show you those later. So that's an overview of our products that we've been working on recently, and Vicki I'll hand it over to her and she'll show you the first couple of them.
Hi,
I'm going to start talking first about the Buncombe County early voting time application. This is a real-time mapping application showing early voting polling locations and how many people are in line in each location. So what we wanted something that was easy to use for voters. We wanted a straightforward application that was easy to interpret. This application is available on the buncombecounty.org website, on the Board of Elections website. We wanted to show which sites are open. Sites have different hours of operations, and the hours change during the course of the early voting period. It needed to be visually simple, and of course, we wanted the data to be in real time. These are our goals for the application. We wanted to give voters the resource of choosing where to vote. We want to help voters decide when to vote. We really wanted to spread out voting more evenly in the different voting locations. I think normally there's about 17 to 18 different early voting locations depending on the election year. And we wanted to really advertise it. So this is the site, and it's showing all the early voting polling sites for, this is 2016. It shows real-time hours and days of operation. It will only show the sites that are open at the current time. It also gives directions to the polling locations. It's real-time data on voting wait times based on how many voters are currently voting, are waiting in line. So it's giving voters the information to decide when and where they should cast their ballots during early voting. So we used ArcGIS Online to provide the tools we needed. First, the polling location data set was created by Board of Elections, and it was published to ArcGIS Online. So all the data was on the ArcGIS cloud, and it was we could edit it on the cloud as well. A Board of Elections user group was created, and only people within that user group were given permissions to edit. ArcGIS Online handled all the permissions of the data, and there was no need for anything to be done internally, and we didn't have to go through any internal security or worries about the data and or worry about access or permissions. Next, we created a web map to display the data. What? Is it not?
Can you guys hear?
Okay. Where was I? Okay, so we created a web map to display the data and turned off editing capability for the web map. And then created the actual application using the ArcGIS Online template, which was a really quick process. No programming was needed, and it was hosted by ArcGIS Online. So this is how the data was collected. Each polling locations had 2 smartphones, and then they used a Twilio texting service to text how many people were in line, I think every 20 to 30 minutes. I'm sorry, every 15 minutes. And that was updated on a website. Then someone in the Board of Elections would check that and then go on ArcGIS Online, update the feature data set with the new information, and then it would automatically be updated on the app. It was a little cumbersome, but it worked pretty well in 2016. So this is how many hits we got to the site. We got about 2,000 hits per day, which is pretty good. This is how many people, the voter turnout for 2016, and it correlates well with the actual turnout. So the hits correlate with with what the turnout was, meaning that when people wanted to get out and vote, they were also looking at the wait map to decide where they wanted to go vote. And this is from the 2018 election, and we were still getting close to a little less than 2,000 hits a day, but it was for a non-presidential election year, so it's still pretty good. The site was publicized on Facebook, Twitter, WLS TV, Citizen Times, and Mountain Express, the 2 local Asheville newspapers. And we got pretty good publicity. I'm just going to read this one. This is from Twitter. this worked so well, went to the mall, and the line was so long, I used the map and found faster voting at another location. So that totally was a success, and all our goals were met right there. All right, I'm going to hand it back.
So yes, it was definitely a success. And one of the things that I thought was really great about the map, besides just being a great thing to use, was that it was really good for advertising. It was visual. You could see where all the sites were immediately and see, whether it was busy or not. And then other media outlets liked it too. They liked seeing something visual. So they were picking up the story like crazy everywhere. So that was fantastic. So we didn't stop there though. Since we had that base data, it was much easier to start building other products. And we knew that we needed to streamline the data entry a little bit more and also be able to make changes really quickly because things come down the pipeline to us from State Board of Elections or different entities that we need to work on fast. So we worked with our IT development department, and in Buncombe County, we are so lucky to have the IT staff that we do. They're fantastic. Gina Sims, Carl Wilhelm, and Anthony Perrone helped put these 3 features together. One is an admin site where I or other election staff can go in and make those hours changes. Or turning on and off sites if we need to. We can do that really quickly rather than making an update to the actual data and sending it to the server and getting it back. That also, has some room for error if we do it that way. And then we also built an iPhone app where the poll worker could directly put in the number of people in line, and it goes straight to the map so that we cut out the staffing portion there. And then we also expanded to Election Day, giving a weight for Election Day, as well as some voter turnout reporting. So I'll just go through those, show them to you really quick. This is the administrative application, so it's just a web page where all the sites are listed, and we can set hours and turn them on and off. And we can also go in and edit the voter turnout and the wait count as well. If we lost cellular service at a site, then we could pick up that and not have uninterrupted service. So we could have control over there. Or if a poll worker accidentally typed in that there was 19,000 people waiting, we could fix that error. The other thing is that we need to report these times to the State Board of Elections, and we just have it do it automatically every hour. And that was a difficult process for us before, and now it's done with not even one click. It just does it automatically. The next thing is the app that we developed for the poll workers to enter the weights themselves. And so we had to make this really simple. The average age of poll workers is over 65, and so it needed to be simple. And we definitely achieved that. It was easier than the texting that they had done before. It just looks like a calculator. They type in the number. It has some parameters on it, so they really actually can't type in 19,000. It won't let them do that. But so that's kind of nice to have a little bit of data checking in there too. And they just use that and it automatically goes to the weight map. So again, it cuts out that middle person. So this was successful, and the poll workers, it was easy for them to learn it. We were a little bit worried about that, and they had no problem. We were able to get multiple iPhones actually at every site. We made it look like an app. It's actually just a web page. There's a shortcut to it. So it's not actually an app, but it looks like that. So it was familiar to them. So that encouraged us to expand to Election Day, which even though it's just one day, it's a much bigger operation. There's, in Buncombe County, we have 80 sites. So that's at least 80 iPhones and all those people to train on something brand new. But this encouraged us, so we did it. We didn't want to make a map because on election day you have to go to your assigned voting location. So we didn't want to make it seem like you could go anywhere. So we settled on a list, and we used this same application. We just pushed it to our website in list form instead of a map, and it looked like this. So it was very simple. It had the list of the polling locations, the wait count, and then when it was last updated. So people could choose whether to wait or not. And this was updated every 15 minutes. The next thing that we did, which was also for election day, is we're required to report voter turnout at every precinct. And so we were able to recycle that other app very easily. I think we put this up in one day, and it had no errors, which was fantastic. And we just changed the color of the background so that they understood which app they were using, because that can be confusing. It looks really similar. And so at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m., they would report the cumulative number of voters at their site. And that would go to our administrative page that I showed you earlier. This is just for the turnout reporting now. And we would just, at 10 a.m., we would look and make sure that everybody had reported, and then we would just click this little generate button, and it would create a PDF that went straight to our website, which was pretty slick considering how we did it before, which was every site would call us on the phone, and we would enter it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then people would either come to our office or they'd call us and we would email them that. So that took an hour. The fastest time we were able to do it in last election was 10 minutes. So we really cut that down. And we also made it available to more people because you didn't have to come to the office and call us. And that's all. Oh, and this was downloaded hundreds of times that day. It's only available on election day. So it was good. Let me hand it off to Vicki now.
Okay.
We're running a little behind.
So I'm going to talk about some of the other sites we developed, and these are more voter information websites. These are to help citizens know where to vote and what district they are in and who their representatives are.
Sorry. If you remember the slide from earlier, it can get pretty confusing to know what district you're in, who are you voting for, where your polling location is, what precinct you're in. So we wanted to develop some applications to help voters find that information easily, and we developed the Buncombe County Representative Finder and the Discover Buncombe voting module. This is the Buncombe County Representative Finder, and basically all you have to do is enter in your address, and then once you enter in your address, it'll generate this list that shows you all your representatives, the districts you're in, and where you're supposed to go vote in the next election. This was really useful for the 2017 election because it was a municipal election, and only people within city limits could vote, and only people within city limits of Asheville could vote in the primary. And so you could go to this tool and it would tell you if you were voting or not voting in the 2017 election. And if you were outside the city limits, it would just come up with a little pop-up saying, you're not eligible to vote in this election. The other tool that we have now is a Buncombe County open data site, and that has a elections category on it. On there, you can go there and download a bunch of election data. We have all the voting history back to 2013, current voter registration information that's updated daily, and also GIS data sets of all the districts and the precinct boundaries. Okay. So what's next? We'd like to, for the early voting wait time application, we'd like to include some additional data. We'd like to include where the curbside voting locations are. In big sites, it can get a little bit confusing where you would go for curbside voting, so we'd like to include that on the app as well. We'd also like to provide parking information and possibly link to the parking garage application that already exists. The City of Asheville developed this parking app, and it shows you how many spaces are left in each garage downtown. So this would be really useful for locations downtown, and also show on the map where designated parking is. We'd also like to do some stuff with dashboards. We'd like to deploy dashboards for the public to easily see voter turnout and the busy sites are what sites are the busiest over time, and also to provide more data transparency. So this is just like a really simple dashboard that shows all the different polling locations and what the use was for that day, and it could help voters decide, well, I might want to go to one that's kind of slow today. So, and it would be updated in real time. And I think that's it. Thank you.
We've got a few minutes for questions. Anybody's got any?
I have a question. Your volunteers that are over 65 at the polling sites, how hard of a buy-in did you have to do to get them to be willing to enter that information in?
So she asked, what kind of buy-in, and you mean from the poll workers that they're going to do this. So there was a lot of grumbling. There was. So during early voting, there's less sites, so we have more people to choose from, so we can pick people that have a little bit more technology base. So we had them do it first and demonstrate, hey, it works and it's easy. And then those people also end up usually working during election day. So they were really key in saying, hey, no, we can do this. But it was difficult. And there's multiple people working at a location, so just one has to be able to do this. But yeah, we have to make it simple.
Did you have to set an alarm or something so that they were like, oh, 15 minutes is past and then that number?
We encouraged them to set an alarm, yes. And most of them did. Most of them did set an alarm. And I have another application, I didn't show it here, where I can monitor all of the sites and when they're reporting. And so if somebody hadn't reported in an hour, I could call them up and remind them. And after a few reminders, they'd be like, okay, they're not going to let this go. I better do it. So, and we've just done it one election. I think after that for election day, that's the real challenge. After one, then they'll be good to go.
What are you using for that little calculator website that looks like an app that is in there?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a simple JavaScript application. It's really just a website that they go on.
Yeah, and we load it on iPhones, but it could go on the iPad too. Sometimes there's challenges with older people being able to see the screen, so it can go on the iPad as well. We just don't have that many iPads right now.
Is that going straight into like a SQL server? Or
Yes.
is that going into something that's being posted directly online?
It's going straight to a SQL server.
Okay.
So it updates the view, and then the view updates the feature data set that's online.
Okay.
That's built off the view.
Yes.
Kind of a follow-up to that question. Has there been any thought to automating the account rather than having people set an alarm and manually?
Automating the
Number of people that are in
Like a counter?
Yeah,
like
like-
an automatic counter?
Yeah, I guess you could have like an optical scanner so that it counts people coming in and counts people going out. I don't know if it's worthwhile or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually a really big challenge for us to decide how to do that. At first we wanted to give a wait time, but a count ended up being much more practical. But yeah, we need some more equipment for that. But we're definitely thinking about options. Anything we can automate we have 200,000 customers that day. So anything we can cut down, we do. We're wanting to. Any other final questions? I think.
Have you had other counties contact you about this and possibly implement it?
Yes, there was one other county actually that did it at the same time as us. We started it, they asked us about it, and then they won an award on it. That was at the last conference, actually. So, but that's what we want. It's actually pretty easy to implement. So anybody who wants it, ask us. And I've written procedures, and I can send it very easily. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.